In this training video, we'll cover the remaining key foundational areas of the Korona Studio. If you haven't watched the first training video yet, make sure to start there before continuing with this one. The link for that video will be in the description down below. In this video, we'll walk through the employees section, receipt customization, customer display customization, and how to change and manage your buttons. Let's start off with the employees section, which is going to be located in the bottom left-hand side on the Korona Studio. If we click here, you'll see we have the cashiers and cashier roles, as well as the users and the user roles. So cashiers are going to be the logins for your point of sale, and the cashier roles are going to be the permissions attached to those specific cashiers. And then the users are going to be the logins for the Korona Studio, and the roles are going to be the permissions or things they have access to within the Korona Studio. Let's start off by taking a look at cashiers. So first, we'll create a new one. Here, you'll automatically have a number generated for you, which is going to be the employee's number. And then this number will want to be the same for the login code as well if you're going to be using the employee time clock. If not, this number doesn't really matter a ton. So in this case, we'll just make it match so that way we have the option to use the employee time clock in a more efficient way. What I mean by that is the employee would only have to remember one number instead of having to remember two, because this number is used for the employee time clock or clocking in and clocking out, and this number is used for logging in. So keeping the same number can be pretty beneficial. Then we'll want to give them a name, an initial or a full last name, and then you can give them a gender, email, whatever you want to do on there, but we do require that you set them up with a cashier role. So we'll just do basic cashier. And as you can see here, I already have a role created for this, and they have these permissions listed here. So we'll save this, and I'm going to go back here and I'll show you our cashier roles. So if we double click this cashier role, we'll see what they have access to. And a lot of these are pretty short term or short in terms of their description. So if we want to know more about what these do and the specifics behind them, we might want to go to a specific manual page here. So if we hover over this question mark here, we'll be able to use this help section and open up the cashier roles and permissions page. This is especially helpful when you're wanting to know what these are going to specifically do and if you want your cashiers to have access to them or not. So really helpful in terms of determining that decision. Next, we have our users and user roles. So let's start there. We'll create a new one. We'll put in an email. So my very real email address, and then we'll put that here, and put that here, and then of course do the first and last name, and then the role attached to them. So I'll just make him an admin and save it. Pretty simple. And we'll now send an email to this email address so that they can set up their password. And then now let's take a look at the user role that he is assigned to, which is admin. So admin should have access to everything. So let's take a look at what everything is. So you'll see one of the key differences for the user role compared to the cashier role is there's a lot more that you can alter and change and tailor for your specific users for the login to the Korona Studio. Now, a lot of people, whenever we mention employees having access to Korona Studio, may think, well, I don't want them to have access to my database. Well, that's fine, because we can tailor it to whatever they should only see. So the Korona system works very much so hand in hand with the Korona Studio and the Korona point itself. So we want to make sure that it's flexible for you and able to accommodate your needs in terms of what you need to do and what you would like your employees to do in order to assist you with your business. So if you want them to only have access to doing inventories and receiving in stock, we can make that so. So let's just say, I'll create a new one here. So let's go back. I'll create a new user role. I'll just call it test. And let's say I only want them to be able to do inventories. I want them to be able to do new products. And then I also don't want them to be able to delete these. So I'll remove this permission. And then maybe I want them to be able to do some stock receipts and to look at the warehouse so they can see quantity on hand. But that's it. That's all I want them to have access to. And I can come back in here and edit it later if I want to. But let's save that. And now if we were to assign that to our new user, once they log in, so let's do it for this one here. Once they log in, they will only see those very specific sections that we clicked on that user role. So if they don't have any sections under sales or evaluations or settings, those sections won't even show up. It'll just show inventory and those specific areas, like I believe it was inventories, warehouse, and then products. Everything else will be not visible, and they'll won't be able to mess around with the areas you don't want them to be able to. Now let's go over some ways that you can customize your receipt layout and what's on it, as well as the customer display if you have one. So if you go down to sales and then points of sale, and double click your point of sale, customize what's on the receipt header and the receipt footer. So the top of the receipt and the bottom of the receipt. This is typically where you put your business name and your address, and then the footer you can put like you're shopping with us, or even like a return policy, or whatever you think would be useful for it to be present on the receipt. Additionally, on the receipt, we can add a picture of your logo, and if we go down to settings, this will likely be under your extended list under settings. So you'll want to go to edit menu entries, and want to scroll down until we see receipt layouts. And we'll view that. I'm going to double click my current layout. As you can see here, I already have an image put in for my receipt header. This would just need to be a PNG or a JPEG. And then you can put one for a footer, especially if you have like maybe you have a QR code for reviewing your store or something like that. You can put that in here and it will print out on the bottom of the receipt. It may need to be adjusted a little bit, and you may need to try it out first and see how it prints out on the receipt, make sure it's to your liking. But if you need any assistance, you can always give us a call at our support line. I'll be happy to help you out with that and make sure it looks the way you want it to. All right. Another thing we can customize on here is going to be your customer display. So initially, your customer display should already be set up with a base level, just a base level template set up. But if you want to have some other scenery or like images, I should say, on your customer display, we would change that under, it's going to be actually under settings and then customer displays. And then here we can create the setting we want here. So once again, you can also add an image here. So this may be maybe a larger logo with more in-depth color and scenery, because the receipt layout and receipts are only going to print out in black and white, of course. But on here, you'll be able to have the image of whatever you want on the right-hand side and the receipt on the left-hand side, or you can even customize this even further. Maybe you want the receipt to be the entire customer's place, so we can just click only receipt area. Or maybe we want a large media area on the right-hand side. We can select that here as well. A bunch of different options here. You can have it halved as well. Just depends on whatever you need. All right. Once we have this set up, we can add the images. This part here under welcome is going to be once you're logged in to the point of sale, what it shows. So it's just going to say welcome. You can customize this as well. If you are logged out, it's going to show register closed or whatever you want to put in there. And then booking is when you are doing a transaction or actively doing a transaction. So you'll be able to customize that as well. One of the last things we'll want to show you here are going to be the button layouts and button configurations. If we select settings in the bottom left, you'll see we have the button configurations tab. And then at the top of this screen, you'll also see the button layouts as an option as well. You'll likely only have one button configuration, so you can double click that. And it'll take you to a preview of your current setup. So what's the difference between button layouts and button configurations? Well, we're looking at a button configuration right now. This is going to be how the layouts are configured. So as you can see here, we have one layout of quick keys, one layout of functions, layout of functions 2, and manager, and so on and so forth as we click through these individual different tabs. So if we want to create a new layout, for example, if we want a button on the quick keys page that takes us to a whole another center piece or center layout, we can create that through this button layouts option at the top. So if we click this here, you'll see all of the current layouts that you have in your system. And we also get a new option at the top left. So we click this, we have a few options for how we want to create these new button layouts. We could start from scratch using the empty button layout option. We could do from single commodity group. So maybe we just want all the items under one specific commodity group in a layout to be generated. We can go from tag, which is great for if we have tagged all these specific products we want to be on the layout. Maybe they span a whole bunch of different commodity groups, or maybe there are only a specific few products under one commodity group. Tag would be great for that. Or maybe we want to create a bunch of different layouts for a bunch of different commodity groups. This is where from commodity group hierarchy would be. So would come into play, I should say. But on here, we can select any and all commodity groups that we want to generate layouts for. So if we wanted to generate a layout for every one of our commodity groups so that every product has a button, we can do that. It may take quite a bit to get it all configured, but if that's something that fits your store well, we can definitely do that. Another option would be to select only the select few that we want to generate. So we have desserts here, and we have sub-commodity groups of cakes, pies, and miscellaneous desserts. So if we were to generate these, it would be kind of like a layered layout, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second here. We can determine what colors we want these buttons to be. So maybe we want the main dessert button to be purple, the cakes to be orange, pies to be light blue, and miscellaneous desserts to be yellow. We can definitely do that. And then we can click the assortment this is going to pull from. So most of you will only have the general assortment. That's fine. A lot of our customers do just have the general assortment. And then you'll select either the standard center screen layout size or the 4:9 layout, which is kind of like a widescreen mode option. And then we want to sort it by name or by number. Most people just use names since it's alphabetical and it's easy to read. So we'll do that and hit create. Once we've created it, you'll see we have 4 new layouts here. We have the parent commodity group of desserts and the sub-commodity groups of cakes, pies, and miscellaneous desserts. So if we were to open the desserts layout, you'll see it has the sub-commodity groups in here, and they have these different colors. And if we were to click these, it would take us to those the layout that is specified for that sub-commodity group. And if we were to go back and take a look into that pies one we just saw there, you'll see the pies that are associated with that layout, or with that commodity group and the layout, I suppose. So don't be alarmed if you see that the text for the button looks a little misconfigured. Once you're at the point of sale itself, where it matters most, it will configure the text that's in the buttons to look presentable on your point of sale, so you won't have to worry about it looking like this. Thank you for watching this Corona POS Help Center video. For more information, please check the description down below, where you'll find our online manual page, as well as the contact information for our support center, and any other resources that'll help you get the most out of your Corona POS system.